Hello everybody, welcome back to Law Hero. My name is Jen and today we are talking about I've done company, constitutional, contract, now I'm on to criminal. And today we're talking about criminal law for the FE1 2022. Been doing this for 4 years, so I've seen the same stuff come up over and over again, and this is just a synopsis of what I think is most important and kind of from the examiner's point of view, and you know what you don't really need to include. Also, if you haven't already done so, please subscribe, please follow along at Law Hero IRL, and please take a look at lawhero.eu or email me at info@lawhero.eu if you need any more help. It is a very multi-issued exam. You have to cover a lot. That being said, I have an ebook. It's still 50 pages long. It's summarized very well. I've updated all the case law and everything for you guys if you want a short synopsis of what you need for criminal law. There will always be multiple defendants, multiple issues, so kind of expect many issues in one question. Try and sort them out and see who's culpable based on, you know, what issues come up in a question. And what we'll do is now we'll just go down through some of the usual ways that questions are asked. So for example, October 2021, question 1, you have 3 people as part of a gang. And then, you know, there's some, the gang is affiliated with other gangs. And then, you know, there's a job to be done. There's some people coerced into doing it, kidnapping guards. So usually the very first question is if you look at a problem question and there has been killing, you have to decide if it's murder or manslaughter. Then you have to decide who is culpable. Is it one person or is there a joint enterprise? Then you have to decide, is there defences? For example, duress would be a defence. You always have to pick out the crime. So as I said, there's murder, manslaughter, but then there may be, for example, assault causing harm, aggravated burglary, false imprisonment, which all come under the Non-Fatal Offences Against the Person Act 1997. So the best way to do it is kind of go down through your head. So even you could have almost in your head, okay, murder, yes, manslaughter, yes, and then other offences, because obviously there'll be different counts and different charges. So I would go down through them in my head, and I have them all set out. I have a murder manslaughter chapter, and then I have a non-fatal offences chapter. Then I have the whole inchoate offences, which is like conspiracy and all that kind of stuff. And then you have the, acting in tandem, common design, because that will apply when there's a group. And then finally you go through your defences, and that's how you assess criminal liability for all the different people in the problem question. That's like a broad way of doing it, and that would be how I do it. And I would say in criminal law, aside from every other topic, I would say put the offence of murder and then put underline it and then highlight all your case law. And when you talk about here, he actually even does it, and I would follow his exam books. The problem is the examiner reports from Shankill Commons are quite long, and what I've done is I've summarized them in my ebook. And I have organized the topics much better, I think. But yeah, so you go false imprisonment applies to this person. This person is being charged with assault because of this section 3 or section 2, and this is the case law. And then you discuss finally the defences. I think the easiest thing is to group your answer by offence. And then, kind of maybe on a page when you're doing your rough work, you can put here, for example, Kevin, John, Jack, Deco, and then put what they all have, what charges they have, and then what possible defences you perceive from reading the facts. I would say there will most likely be a question around detention, be it a problem question or an essay question. there is starting to be a lot more cases around like computer crime, and just so you know that the Criminal Damages Act has been abolished by the Criminal Justice Offences Relating to Information Systems Act 2017 as regards like data. So that's really, really important, and they'll usually be like defences are really, really important. Like for example, in that question 3, you also had the defence of insanity, reasonable defence of force, for example. Then of course there will always be some kind of sexual offences question, always, and that will usually be in the problem questions as well. And smaller problem questions, there may be 1 or 2. You will more than likely have to write a full essay on a defence. In October 2021, it was the Defense of Intoxication, and obviously if you were up to date on the law, that would have been much easier for you. Usually then there will be a question where you advise the DPP, and in that question it'll be like a load of different questions thrown into one. For example, in October 2021, there was aggravated burglary, assault causing harm, assault causing serious harm, and attempted rape. So you'll see there again you have the non-fatal offences against the person and the sexual offences thrown into that question, kind of doubled up. And then there will usually be another advise the DPP, but the questions will be more around property or like syringe offences. That's how he kind of does it. And then more than likely there will be a question around the classification of a crime, or he'll ask you to look at the criminal courts and describe them. Let's just look real quickly at the March 2021. So the first question was murder manslaughter. The second question then was again vehicular manslaughter, murder manslaughter, criminal negligence manslaughter, again all done in my book. The third question was the defense of duress. So you'll see in March 2021 he asked the defense of duress as an essay, and then in October 2021 he asked around intoxication. So just know your defenses really well. You're going to need them anyway for the murder manslaughter question. Question 4 then was sexual offences, but then he threw in inchoate offences, which is the law of attempt. Could also be conspiracy, but not here. Usually when he will ask, for example, like here in question 5, Section 15A of the Misuse of Drugs Act, this is when you hear that, you know it's going to be the mens rea of strict liability. Strict liability simply means you don't have to prove intent. And there was a really interesting case around environmental liability, which I've included in my notes, which was called Minister for Environment v. Lenigan, and that was around that discussed strict liability in relation to environmental criminal charges, which I found very interesting. Basically what it said was that it's really hard to regulate subjective intent when it comes to environmental issues. So the court simply has to apply strict liability, because otherwise there would be an unfair advantage in prosecuting. And they use the Riley v. Patwell for the rebutting of mens rea, which is like a non-exhaustive list of factors when you are determining whether mens rea has been rebutted. The presumption of mens rea has been rebutted. Another DPP question where again he looked at like know your non-fatal offences really well, know the act really well, because here for example he asked assault section 3 and 4. What else did he ask? Harassment under section 10, public order offences, section 7 of the 94 Act. And then the fourth one related to terrorism offences, so offences against the State Act 1939, and I've done that as well in the book. Basically the rule of thumb is when you see an act you're not that familiar familiar with, for example, the Misuse of Drugs Act 1977, or the Proceeds of Crime Act, which is the CAB Act, then you know it's about like mens rea or classification of crime, because you're not expected to know those acts. And by the way, coercive control is not on the syllabus, but he was impressed that people knew about it. And you know, it's because I've been telling people about it. The final question then in October 2021 then related to the right to silence and bail, and as I said, he always asks a detention question. So yeah, I think criminal law is very, very straightforward exam. Know your offences, know your defences very, very well, in a nutshell, is what I would say. The exam reports are very, you know, they're very thorough. The exams always follow the same logic, which can be said of other exams. So yeah, I think it's a pretty good one for people to start with and pass, and I hope you do, and I'll see you in the next one.